Good evening, Agile acquisition enthusiasts, and welcome back to the Underground Digital Tiki Bar. It's Friday night, and that means it's time for another episode of Agile Acquisitions and Alcohol. So cheers. All right, on tonight's episode, I'm going to be responding to a question from Garrett Pagan of OG Systems, who was asking a question following a LinkedIn post that I made regarding, do you know what you're selling? And this was really talking about, as we're moving to this agile development service model, what is it that you're selling? What is it that the government's buying? And of course, I've said time and time again, this is the repeatable process for the delivery of functional product. It's the prioritization of functionality based on need and ability to deliver and user feedback, right? So this is a different model. So Garrett's question generally boiled down to, okay, if this is what everybody's selling, in this environment, then how does a company stand out? How do they differentiate if everybody's essentially selling this repeatable process? Great question. Thought we'd unpack that one tonight. So essentially, what we got to do is we got to think, okay, we're no longer in this model that we've been in for decades where we're basically looking at technical volumes with pretty pictures and how well can you describe the scenario under which you're going to deliver these, hundreds of pages of shall statements, and then correlating that with your price and your cost and seeing how well it stacks up from a reasonable realism standpoint and how well competitively from the other offers, right? So when we're talking about this agile delivery model, what we're really saying is, okay, let's look at past experience, right? So we're buying differently and we want to get vendors that have experience delivering differently, right? So there's sort of this belief, I guess, that in this movement in the federal government that big businesses or traditional companies are being shunned and everybody wants the non-traditionals and small, and that's not true. But what we are looking for is to do things differently. So if it's a big business or a traditional DoD or federal government company that has the experience delivering in the model that we're looking to transition to, great. Nobody has any issues with that, and a lot of time that's exactly what we need, or a blend, of course. So if you're trying to stand out in a proposal situation, it's always going to depend on what the agency is asking for. There are shades of adoption of agile practices. Sometimes it's a blend, like I call agile fall, which is not a great thing. Sometimes it's extreme and all the buzzwords. And as an industry, as the vendor, you need to read these things and get an understanding of how well versed is the agency? Do they really know what they're asking for? Are they capable of supporting it? And this is what the RFI process is for. That's why there's asking good questions is so important. And then shaping a proposal that really meets what the agency is capable. So even if the agency is using all the buzzwords and saying they want full-fledged agile delivery, lock, stock, and barrel, you got to do a little digging and understand, are they really capable of supporting that? And finding out where their gaps are, that's what can give you the edge in your proposal. If you understand that this is a microcosm within an agency that wants to do the right things, but they're operating within a larger structure that doesn't generally support that, then you need to provide a proposal that sort of bridges that gap. How can you give them that agile, iterative development, rapid response, and blend it in with that large agency bureaucracy, whether it's configuration management or security? Probably a video for another time, but if you're doing agile iterative development and security is not, and so testing is occurring 3 months after you've been delivering iteratively every 2 weeks, you're really not delivering anything agile, because if at the end of that 3 months security kicks everything back, you're not failing small, you're failing almost a quarter of a year. So you really got to understand the environment you're bidding in. That's one. And two, you have to understand what is it that makes you unique. What roles and characteristics does your iterative development process bring to bear? Real obviously, how well ingrained is user-centered design in your approach? Is it an afterthought? Is it one body sort of floating around just so you can say you have it? Or is user-centered design actually built into your process? what kind of tools are you using? Are you using a modern tech stack? Have you optimized for development? All of these things that, really paint a picture that you're not just, going out and, Googling Agile development and the Agile manifesto and reading the TechFar handbook and then just sort of packing all that in to say you're doing it. What are the things you've done to demonstrate and deliver? When I'm involved in these acquisitions, what I really like to see are like, show me real artifacts. So show me the web pages, the live web pages you've built. Show me the repositories. I want to see code commits. I want to see bug rates, code coverage. I mean, these are the things you want to bundle in there. And yeah, you want to have a story around it, but as I tell companies all the time, save the fluff. Nobody cares. It doesn't help you win. Put it in a nice, coherent package, but don't waste the space, which hopefully in these acquisitions is kept very small, or if it's orals, the time's kept pretty brief. Be efficient and focus on what's going to actually make you stand out, which is your experience. Where have you delivered it? What's your model? How have you demonstrated that to be part of your company's ethos? That's where you want to spend your time, your space, your words, your pages, whatever. So, hey Garrett, I hope that answered your question. And for everybody else, thanks for watching, and cheers. Now go innovate.